All right, welcome in everyone. Ready to deep dive with us again. This time we're taking a look at Cash Uncomplicated, a book by Aaron Nannini.
Ooh, I like this one.
It's all about personal finance, yeah, but he gets into some interesting principles, stuff you can actually use, to kind of level up your money game.
Practical stuff. I like it.
Exactly. It's not about, getting rich quick schemes, but more like how to make your money work for you. Build a life that really reflects what you value.
I think that's what drew me to this book in the first place. Nannini starts with mindset. Like he doesn't pretend he was always a financial guru.
Yeah, he talks about his early struggles, right? Being stuck in that paycheck-to-paycheck cycle.
Ugh, tell me about it.
And it's interesting how he kind of stumbled into real estate investing almost accidentally, and that's what got him on this whole personal finance journey.
That's relatable for a lot of people, I bet. Like falling into something and then realizing, wait a minute, maybe I can actually take control of my finances.
Right, it's like that light bulb moment. He bought a condo, then a house, rented out the condo, and suddenly he's learning all about personal finance.
And that's a big part of his message, that it doesn't matter where you're starting from. Anyone can achieve financial success if they have the right principles.
And he really pushes back on that whole money can't buy happiness thing.
I'm a little skeptical of that phrase sometimes. I don't know about you.
Yeah, sometimes it feels like an excuse, to avoid dealing with money stress.
Easier to just dismiss it altogether than to admit, maybe I'm not handling it well.
Exactly. But Nannini's point is, if you do take control, it's not necessarily about buying happiness, but more about creating peace of mind.
Less anxiety about bills, more freedom to do the things you love.
And he talks about a major obstacle that gets in the way of that, comparing ourselves to others.
Oh yeah, that whole keeping up with the Joneses trap.
He uses this example of a couple, Mark and Rachel, picture perfect on social media, but behind the scenes drowning in debt.
Oof, that hits close to home, especially nowadays with social media.
Right. It's so easy to fall into that comparison game, constantly bombarded with these curated, perfect little snapshots of everyone's lives.
And you start to feel like you're not measuring up, like you're falling behind.
It's like comparing your everyday life to someone else's highlight reel. No wonder so many of us feel inadequate.
And it's not just about fancy vacations or whatever. Nannini brings up some scary statistics, like how many Americans can't even cover a $1,000 emergency expense.
Oh, yeah. Makes you think, what would I do if that happened to me?
Definitely a wake-up call.
Yeah.
But Nannini isn't saying we should all become penny-pinching hermits.
Right. He focuses on what he calls frugality and value-based spending.
Two very important concepts.
So let's break those down. What exactly does he mean by those terms?
Well, he defines frugality as being intentional with your money.
Okay, so not just mindlessly cutting costs.
Right. It's about making sure your spending aligns with what truly matters to you. He uses this analogy of a value funnel.
Interesting. How does that work?
Like imagine your values act as a filter. Only the things that align with those values are allowed to pass through, kind of like a funnel.
So you're choosing where your money goes, consciously.
Exactly. And he tells the story about Cheryl. She realized she was spending a ton on clothes, but her closet was overflowing, stuff she never wore.
Oh, I know that feeling.
So one of her core values was experiencing new things, so she cut back on clothes and used that money to go to Italy.
Wow, that's a great example, investing in experiences instead of accumulating more stuff.
And it brings us to this idea, we often try to buy happiness through material possessions.
But there's that whole psychological thing, hedonic adaptation. We get used to new things so quickly.
It's true. The new car smell fades, the excitement wears off, and then you're on to the next thing.
Stuck in this endless cycle, always trying to buy our way to lasting happiness.
Nannini actually talks about Grant Halverson's work. He suggests two strategies to combat this: adding variety and practicing appreciation.
What do you think about those, especially in the context of personal finance?
Well, I think variety and appreciation, yeah, both really important, I think, for breaking free from that cycle,
It's so easy to get caught up in always wanting more.
And you forget to appreciate what you already have.
Exactly. So how does variety fit in, especially with finances?
Well, it doesn't have to mean spending a ton of money, right?
I hope not.
It's about injecting some novelty into your life without breaking the bank. Could be something as simple as trying a new recipe.
Ooh, I like that.
Or exploring a new park, picking up a new hobby, anything that shakes things up a bit.
Keeps things interesting and appreciation.
That's about shifting your focus to what you do have, what brings you joy.
Gratitude, basically.
Exactly, and that kind of leads us to another big topic
Yeah.
Nanny tackles, escaping that paycheck-to-paycheck trap.
Been there.
He's a huge advocate for budgeting, tracking your expenses.
Makes sense. Know where your money's going so you can make conscious choices.
Right. But I know for a lot of people, budgeting can feel overwhelming.
Oh, yeah. It's like, where do I even begin?
Nannini breaks it down, though, makes it manageable. Start by listing all your income and expenses.
Okay, got it.
Then categorize them, see where you can maybe cut back. But it's not about deprivation. He emphasizes that.
Right, finding a balance that works for you.
And he talks about compound interest, how powerful that can be for building wealth.
Yeah, I love that visual he uses, the chart showing how even small savings grow over time.
It's like watching your money snowball.
It's so motivating.
He gives practical advice, too, like setting up an emergency fund.
Having that safety net, got to reduce that stress, right?
Exactly, and then strategically reallocating funds.
Oh, yeah, moving money to higher yield investments.
He even suggests creating sub-accounts within your bank account for specific goals.
I like that, giving each dollar a job.
Making your money work for you. And speaking of being proactive, Nannini gets into debt, too.
Can't avoid that topic. It's a big one.
Especially what he calls bad debt, used for consumption, not investment.
Credit cards, personal loans for things you don't really need.
He talks about how crippling that can be, financially and emotionally.
It really can weigh you down.
But he offers a step-by-step guide to tackle it. Start by listing all your debts, analyze those interest rates,
Makes sense.
then create a payoff plan. He even talks about the snowball and avalanche methods.
I've heard of those. What's the difference again?
Snowball, you pay off smallest debts first, quick wins for motivation.
Okay, I like that.
Avalanche, you prioritize highest interest rates, save the most money in the long run.
So it depends on what you need, the quick wins or the long-term savings.
Exactly. And he gives this example. Someone sells their expensive car, replaces it with something more affordable.
A bold move, but it frees up a lot of cash.
Quick win right there. And that brings us to credit cards.
Ooh, a love-hate relationship for many.
So convenient, but those interest rates, yikes.
If you're not careful, they can get you into trouble.
Nannini uses this term debt deal to explain it.
What's that?
It's like you get to use their money, but you pay a price if you don't pay it off in full each month.
Ah, so it's a deal, but you gotta know the terms.
And if you only make minimum payments, it can keep you in debt for years.
He has that scary example, paying off $4,000 at 19% interest.
It would take almost 11 years with minimum payments.
Oh, wow. Those small monthly payments add up.
It's important to understand the true cost of carrying a balance. And that ties into Nannini's distinction between good debt and bad debt.
Okay, remind me, what's the difference again?
Good debt used to acquire something that generates income.
Like a rental property or a business loan.
Exactly, something that will help you build wealth in the long run. But even then, be cautious, he says.
Makes sense. Make sure the potential returns are worth it.
He uses the rental property example, shows how leveraging good debt strategically can help you build wealth.
So it's not all bad, but gotta be smart about it.
And then he talks about this thing called lifestyle creep.
What's that?
It's when you increase your spending as your income grows.
Oh, so like you get a raise and suddenly you're spending more.
And your savings stay the same, even though you're making more money.
It's like a silent killer of financial progress.
He uses this 10-year chart to show how it happens over time. Really eye-opening.
I think we've all been there to some degree. It's so tempting to upgrade your lifestyle when you have more money.
But Nannini argues, if you want true financial freedom, resist that urge.
Easier said than done, right?
He also cautions against getting caught up in luxury items, especially financing them.
Yeah, that new car might feel good in the moment, but it can be a huge financial burden.
He contrasts two couples, John and Marie, high income, but drowning in debt because of extravagant spending.
Wow, so income isn't everything.
And then Tina and Nick, they prioritize value-driven purchases, financially stable.
It's really about your spending habits more than your income level.
He talks about silent killers that drain your finances, spending leaks and car costs.
Like what kind of spending leaks?
He tells this story about Norman. He spends a few dollars every day at work. Coffee, breakfast, seems harmless, right?
It's just a few bucks. What's the big deal?
But when you calculate that over time, factor in missed investment returns, it adds up to over $500,000.
What? That's crazy.
Makes you think twice about those small daily expenses.
And the car costs, everyone knows cars are expensive.
But he breaks down all the costs, not just the purchase price, depreciation, interest, insurance, maintenance, fuel.
It's a lot more than you think.
He even challenges readers to consider alternative transportation options.
Like public transit, biking, walking.
Even if you need a car, being mindful of those costs can help you make better decisions.
So we've talked about the traps. Now, what about some practical tips for being more intentional?
Well, he has a whole section on intentional shopping, especially for groceries.
Everyone's got to eat.
He suggests shopping at bulk stores, stocking up on sale items,
Like sense.
exploring cheaper brand alternatives, eating seasonally,
Good tips.
and avoiding those pre-cut produce and prepackaged meals. They're marked up so much.
I've been meal prepping lately, and it's amazing how much money I've saved.
There you go. Small changes can make a big difference.
And he's big on tracking your spending, no matter what method you use.
Budgeting app, spreadsheet, even just a notebook.
It's all about awareness, making sure your spending aligns with your values.
Once you have that awareness, you can eliminate those unnecessary expenses.
It's not about deprivation, it's about making conscious choices.
And going back to that partnership with money, remember, compound interest can work for you just as powerfully as against you.
So we can make it our ally.
Exactly. Use it to build that secure future. And that's not just about individual finances either.
He talks about raising financially savvy kids, right?
It's so important. Set a good example. Have open conversations about money from a young age.
They learn by watching us, so we gotta walk the walk.
He suggests practical things, like using allowance to teach budgeting and saving, even investing.
It's amazing how much they pick up.
And he even challenges traditional thinking about paying for college.
Like, what kind of alternatives are there?
He encourages exploring scholarships, grants, work-study programs.
So there are options beyond just savings and loans.
He wants kids to be resourceful, think outside the box when it comes to funding their education.
Empowering them to take control, just like he encourages adults to do.
And speaking of relationships, he has a whole chapter on aligning financial goals with your partner.
That's huge. Money can be a big source of conflict in relationships.
Open communication is key, he says.
He tells the story about Jim and Andrea. Their differing financial habits and lack of communication led to tension.
It's a reminder that financial compatibility is crucial for a long-term relationship.
Definitely something to think about, so how can couples get on the same page?
He suggests scheduling regular money conversations, creating shared budgets and goals.
Working as a team, that's a key.
And if you're feeling overwhelmed by all of this, Nannini says it's okay to seek help.
Like from a financial advisor?
Yeah. Or an accountant, even a therapist who specializes in financial issues.
Sometimes we need that expert guidance.
And he stresses ongoing education. There are so many resources available.
Books, podcasts, workshops, online courses. It's amazing.
He also encourages joining investment clubs, online forums, connect with like-minded people.
Build a supportive network. Learn from each other's experiences.
Nannini wraps up the book with a powerful call to action.
He wants us to take control, make conscious choices, and build the financial future we desire.
It's not about luck. It's about effort and discipline.
And true success isn't just personal gain. It's about making a positive impact.
Using your resources to contribute to something bigger than yourself.
Whether it's supporting charities, investing in sustainable businesses, leaving a positive legacy.
Nannini leaves readers with a sense of hope and empowerment.
That we have the power to create the financial future we want, and it's never too late to start making changes.
It's an ongoing journey, always something new to learn, always room for growth.
So we've covered a lot of ground today, but I hope you've gotten some valuable insights from this deep dive.
Before we move on to part 3, what resonated most with you?
What stood out? What are you inspired to do differently?
Take a moment to reflect on that, and we'll be back to share our own takeaways and some helpful resources.
Okay, welcome back. Had some time to digest all that. What really stuck with me, that story about Norman and his work spending just a few dollars each day, but over time, wow.
Yeah, the opportunity cost. Every dollar you spend is a dollar you're not investing. And
I know, it's like, I deserve this latte, it's only $5, but those little choices, they make a difference.
For sure. And that whole idea, money as a partner, not an enemy, really resonated with me.
It's a mindset shift. Suddenly you're working together towards the same goals.
And those goals, breaking them down, short-term, medium range, long-term, it's a good framework.
It's easy to get overwhelmed, but having those clear goals helps you focus, stay motivated.
Yes, small steps, right. You don't have to do it all at once.
Progress over perfection. And it's a journey, not a destination.
Always learning, always growing when it comes to finances.
He's big on ongoing education, books, podcasts, workshops. So many resources out there.
And finding those mentors, surrounding yourself with people who are financially savvy.
Learn from their experiences, build that supportive network.
I think the biggest takeaway, we have the power to create the financial future we want.
It's not about luck, it's about choices, aligning them with our values and goals.
And it's never too late to start making those changes.
Whether you're just starting out or you're already pretty good with money, there's always something to learn.
Cash Uncomplicated is full of great advice, really practical stuff.
And for those who want more, we'll be posting some resources on our website, links to the book, some other tools.
Budgeting, investing, debt management, all that good stuff.
And if you're looking for more deep dives, check out our previous episodes. Lots of fascinating topics there.
Thanks for joining us on this one. Hope you found it valuable.
Remember, you have the power to create the financial future you want. Keep learning, keep growing, and until next time, keep diving deep.
Did you get any of that?